Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. Good night, my sisters and my brothers. They thought I was quiet. They thought they could do whatever they wanted with me. They thought they would pass their hands on me. But when Guy Joseph messed with me in the parliament, if I had got closer to him, I would have given him a... And that is how I will fight for the people of St. Lucia. That is how I'll fight for the people of Labour. So tell Guy Joseph and Alan Shasley, never, never, never interfere with a quiet man. Because when they get me vexed, Balfini, so tell them, beware. The best of me is yet to come. And what the people of Castries East saw from 1997, the people of St. Lucia will shortly see the best of Philip J. Pierre. My sisters and my brothers, it is 2 years in 6 weeks' time that the United Workers' Party are in power. 2 years. 2 years. They have delivered nothing in the 2 years. This government is not a government for us. And I want you to put that in your head and remember it. And I want you to repeat it after me now. The United Workers' Party is not a government for us. The government is not a government for the people of St. Lucia. So since they have not delivered, they want to cover your eyes. So how they cover your eyes? With investigation. So they say they're investigating Ernest, they're investigating Sean, and they third say they're investigating Kenny. But I said to Alan Shasley, if you touch Ernest or Sean or Kenny, you touch all of us. You touch one, you touch all. And if you touch Ernest, you touch me. And if you touch Sean, you touch me. So my brothers and sisters, let Shasley be warned. This Labour Party will not allow him to continue to be vindictive and to victimize people how they did to the 1,000 step workers in this country. We will not allow it, my brothers and sisters. So since they have not delivered anything in the 2 years, they want to have a set of flashing mirrors. So they go to Diamal, where they spend $40 million plus interest in a place that you have to break down, and they say they will have Madison Square Gardens. And when they realize they will charge them for saying Madison, they say Maryseal. So you mean to tell me, in a broken down mall, inside there, Lanny what? Lanny shot. They have bats, they have dogs, they have pigs, they have exactly serpents. Ou du moins, ou kay croiser ça, ou kay faire Maryseal Square Gardens, ou pas essayer de s'y mettre à bon en pays. After you spend $40 million, you have this building, and now you want to fool people, and you say you're going to have Maryseal or Madison Square Gardens. But I'll tell you what, that is because they want to blind you. So in the parliament, there will be endless pictures. Soufriere have free markets, 2 squares, 5 malls, Soufriere in 1 year. There will be endless pictures, and what they'll tell you is, give us a chance. Give us 3 more years to do it. And when the 3 more years come, they'll tell you, give them another term. So they're showing all these pictures. They're showing all these ideas. So you will say, give them a chance. They have so many plans. But I'll tell you something. Not this time, my brothers and sisters. Not this time. This witch hunt that they want to run against Ernest and Sean and Kenny, that witch hunt is a witch hunt against you. It is a witch hunt against you, the people of St. Lucia. So, my brothers, I say to you, that witch hunt is why they have no jazz this year for the people. Remember, when April came and jazz was there was excitement all over the town. You remember that? Vendors used to sell. Small hotels used to be open. Taxi drivers used to be happy. Everybody used to have a buzz about jazz. The whole country had jazz. There was jazz in Viewfort. There was jazz in the square. There was jazz everywhere. There was even jazz in Marshall. Let me tell you something. When the Labour Party gets back into power, we will bring back jazz, how jazz was for the people of St. Lucia. Tell them, we will bring back jazz. So what you have now? You have jazz in hotel. How many people in Mondidon can pay $270 to go and see jazz in a hotel? How many people in Fula Show can pay $270 to go and see jazz in a hotel? How many people in Toulouse can pay $270 to go and see jazz in a hotel? But jazz is not for you. Jazz is not for you. So I tell you something. This government is not for you, my brothers and sisters. They told you no taxes. Let me tell you something tonight. On Monday, when you go to buy gas in the gas station, the price of gas will go up by at least 50 cents, if not more. And it had to go up by $1. But because of the pressure that you give them from this side, they decide they'll bring it up by 50 or 60 cents. So the price of gas is going to be more than $13 on Monday. So taxi drivers, beware. Minibus drivers, beware. Fishermen, beware. I'll tell you something. When this Labour Party gets into power, we will do something to relieve the pressure on the fishermen of St. Lucia. Because that nonsense must stop. What do they take your money for? They take your money and they give it to Ocho Labs. Now I want you to do some maths for me. Do a little bit of maths for me tonight. Last year, in the budget, there was $10 million for something they call NAPS or whatever they call it. When we asked the Prime Minister, what was that about? He said it was for Ojo Labs and CHTTI. Let's do the maths. They say that they have employed 50 people at Ojo Labs. Let us say that you paying $1,500 a month salary for these 50 people. That means at the end of the year, you pay $900,000 of salary. Agree? Very simple. I hope Guy can check that. Now, you say that you spend $10 million. I want to ask you, if you have 50 people employed at $1,500, let's say you have 100 people employed at $1,500 a month, what happened to the rest of the money? I am calling on the government, because that money is taxpayers' money, to give the public a full account of how that money was spent on Ojo Labs. How much money did they spend in salaries? How much money do they spend in electricity? How much money do they spend in everything? This is not Alan Shastney's money. This money belongs to the people of St. Lucia. And I'm saying to the government, you must give us an account of how you spend that money on Ojo Labs and on CHTTI. They must give us an account. That is not personal money. That is your money. That is your money. That is our money. So they have to give us an account, my brothers and sisters. You heard the budget. In 2016, when we left government, the national debt was $2.9 billion. Listen carefully. In 2017, when they were there for 1 year, they brought the national debt to $3.1 billion. Listen carefully. By the end of 2018, the national debt will be $3.8 billion. That means between 2016 and the end of 2018, this government would have borrowed $900 million, nearly $1 billion. And I defy them to say that is not true. But you know how they hid it? How they hid it is they put $300 million in the estimate, and they took another $400 million, they say, to build an airport and to fix roads, and they say SLASPA will borrow the money. As if SLASPA is not part of the government. But when SLASPA borrows, the government must guarantee. So it's the same debt. So this UWP, in 2 years, would have increased the national debt of this country to $3.8 billion. They'd have borrowed nearly $1 billion in 2 years. That is what this government, that is the management of that economy under the United Workers' Party. But how will they pay back? You know what Alan Chastney says? He says there must be a stream, a revenue stream to pay that. What is the revenue stream? The revenue stream, he says, is a gas tax. Now listen to common sense. You see, these folks believe that they can just fool people. Listen to common sense. You live in a world where you say people are burning too much gas. You want renewable energy. You want to change from fossil fluids, fuel, to renewable energy. You want to change from that. But you're saying you put in a tax on gas. So when people stop using gas or stop using fuel, where will you get money to pay back that loan? Listen to the logic. You want people to use less fuel. You're talking about electric cars. You're talking about all kinds of things. But your revenue stream is to collect money from fuel, and you want people to use less fuel. Where is the logic? So when people use less fuel, where will you get the money to repay the loan? You know who will have to pay it? You, your children, your children's children, and your children's children. And Chastney would have taken his family, and they go and live in Canada, they'll go and live in Miami, and you will be left to pay that loan. He says he has a revenue stream of airport tax. Airport tax. And listen to the nonsense. Oh, that's not been paid by St. Lucians. That's been paid by foreigners. Okay. Supposing, God forbid, and we have a hurricane in St. Lucia, and our tourism industry gets under pressure, who will be coming in the airport to pay the airport tax? Think about it. Who will be coming to St. Lucia if there's a disaster to pay the airport tax? So what that means is that stream you're talking about is useless because you may have less money from the airport. So your big streams of revenue, your two biggest streams of income, fuel and the airport, will get affected because you have no control over these things. That is the economy that Alan Chastney is managing. But why is he doing that? He's spending $14 million for foreigners to have consultants. $14 million will be spent to bring consultants to do the work that civil servants can do, that civil servants have been doing. You're going to take $14 million and give consultants. And when you finish, you will say to the civil servants, do not bite the hand that feeds you. After you bring foreigners to do their work, after you pay consultants $14 million, you will tell them, do not bite the hand that feeds you. You know who is biting the hand? The government that is biting the hand of the civil servants, not the civil servants biting the hand of the government. But the civil servants and the policemen, we say to them, forget about what happened before. Forget about what happened before. We know that you thought that the people in the police force, some of them thought that something went wrong. We all meant good. We always meant good. We believe in the police force. I've always said, my father was a policeman. I went to school on policeman money. So we understand what the policemen are going through. And I say to them, let not your heart be troubled. When the Labour Party gets back into power, we will bring the civil servants and the police where they're supposed to be when we get back into power. Because we appreciate the work they are doing. We would not spend $14 million on consultants and the Blind Welfare Association that has an education service for children who are blind. Look at the heartlessness and the cruelty of this government. A program for children who are blind, children who cannot see properly, who are impaired in their sight. There's a program to help them, and this government has cancelled that program, but you give $14 million to foreigners in consultancy to draw pictures of Marysville Square Gardens and nonsense. And you cannot see about the Blind Welfare Association and the people in the Blind Welfare Association. You cannot pay the National Trust. You cannot pay the subvention, but you can find $14 million to give consultants to do work that solutions are qualified to do. This government is so heartless. They have 2 hospitals. People are dying, comrades. People are dying. The nurses and the doctors are working as hard as they can. They are working under terrible conditions. There are 2 hospitals, and this government refuses to open either of the hospitals, my brothers and sisters. They refuse. They refuse. You know why? You know why? They want to give the hospital, they want to privatize the hospital to give it to their friends, my brothers and sisters. So you have the OKEU hospital. And I'll tell you something. When we left this hospital, when we lost the election in 2016, all the equipment was there. All the equipment was at the hospital. We had begun the training for the nurses. We had begun to train them to use the equipment. We had got help from the Europeans to help in that training. We had identified as a new initiative the money we needed to open that hospital for the people of St. Lucia, my brothers and sisters. This government stayed 2 years in power. This heartless, this brutal, and this wicked government. They stayed 2 years. They allow people to die. To die. And they refuse to open this hospital. They go to St. Jude's Hospital, where they started it. We continued. There was no money. We looked for money. Kenny went to Taiwan to get money. We continued working the hospital. For 2 years, these guys left that hospital, and people are dying in St. Jude's. People are dying in St. Jude's. And you want to say, because you do that, you affect Kenny, or you affect Musa, or you affect Ernest, or Alva? It is not Musa, or Alva, Ernest, or Philip J. Pierre. It's the people who are dying in that hospital. And I say to them, our position is clear. No demolition. No alternative use. Complete the hospital now. That's our position. And if they want us to take people on the streets, we will take people on the streets. I sent a petition filed in Chasney with 11,000 signatures. 11,000 people signed and said, open our hospital. We want our hospital open. Alan, does not listen. If Alan does not listen, Alan may have to feel. My brothers and my sisters, you cannot allow people to die. You can't allow people to be in a hospital and they're going for simple things and they die. They die at St. Jude's, at a stadium. You have them in a stadium that was not made to be a hospital. It was makeshift. You have them there for so many years, and you have a building that you can use. When the United Workers' Party came into power, these people are so callous and heartless. They refuse to look at the document that said what was the state of the St. Jude Hospital. They refuse to look at it. Guy Joseph took the police, and I say to the police who did that, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they did. So we forgive them. You take the police and you go at people's homes and people's businesses with big guns and you search their places for hospital equipment. And you take trucks from Forestier. Don't ask me who owned the trucks. I don't know. You take trucks from Forestier and you go and take the material and you say it's government material, when you know very well that that material was for the hospital. You refuse to tell people that you had a document that said what you had to do to finish a hospital. You refuse to tell people that you hid the document, and you make all kinds of statements. Investigation. You spend $1 million, you'll arrest this, you'll go to the director of public prosecutions, when you have a document that says exactly what you have to do to complete the hospital. You don't see this government is too wicked? And I said to them, do not privatize the health services in St. Lucia unless you discuss it with the people of St. Lucia. This Labour Party, we wanted universal health care. We started universal health care. We started giving people free medication for high blood pressure and for diabetes. We started it. Now they want to talk about national insurance. My brothers and sisters, how many poor people can afford to pay insurance? How many poor people can afford to pay insurance? How many of you who have your little tray as a vendor, hustling to send your children to school before they run behind you from selling on the road? How many of you can pay insurance, medical insurance? How many of you who have to hustle with your weed eater to make a living? How many of you can pay health insurance? How many of you who have to work in the stores, who have to work to help as home help? How many of you can afford insurance? But that is what this government is doing for you. What's the time? And that is what this government is doing. They want to tell you, you can afford insurance. You know why? Because this government is not for you. So they don't care about you. They'll take your hospital, give it to foreigners to make profit, and you will remain at your home. And when you cannot afford health care, you will die. You will die. And that is what, and don't think because you're healthy tonight, because you're healthy and you have that one of, Pierre, nothing wrong with me. My brothers and sisters, any one of us, any one of our relatives, any of our family can fall sick. And when they fall sick, we have to take them to these hospitals. So we have to ensure that there is proper health care in this country, my brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters, this government is only about their friends, their family, and the foreigners. Any project where the government cannot give the contract, any project where they cannot give 40 direct awards in one day, the government will stop. They will stop any project like that. So you have lights in Castries. The government is talking about renewable energy. That we're spending too much money on fuel. But this Labour Party government, we got a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank to change all the lights in Castries from sodium lights to LED lights. We would save $9 million a year. The Caribbean Development Bank found that the loan was so well put together that they changed the requirements. Instead of having to pay 90%, they said they would give us 80%. Instead of giving us 80%, they give us 90% of the loan. And they gave us a grant for $300,000. So we could change all these lights and save $9 million a year. But what they said was Lucilec would have to manage the process. So that means no direct awards. That means no friends will get contract. That means nobody would be able to collect anything on the side. You know what the government did? They canceled the loan. They cancel it. And they say they will give it to a private sector firm. I warn you, look at the private sector firm that they will give it to. And if you look behind the private sector firm, you must see friends, family, or foreigners. Look, just like the Roseau Dam, they refused to distill the Roseau Dam. They refused to take the loan that we negotiated with the CDB. But they have $23 million that you pay in your light bill. So they want to enter that $23 million. They want to get their hands in that $23 million. They want to get their hands in there. Because fellas buy trucks already. Fellas buy backhoe. Fellas buy tractor. That $23 million, fellas eyes open wide for that $23 million. So they will stop the loan from the Caribbean Development Bank just to get their hands in that $23 million. Just like the Grosley Highway. Anytime you get stuck on that Grosley Highway, I want you to say, I will vote against Alan Shasley. Anytime you get stuck there, anytime you're in a traffic jam, it's because of Alan Shasley. Because we had the money to construct that highway between Grosley and Shock to ease the traffic congestion, to fix all the roads in Grosley. People from Grosley, I want you to listen to that. We had all the money to do that. And these guys stopped it. You know why? Because they could not give the contracts. The contracts they want to give, the direct awards, the companies that they start, the backhoes their friends buy, the kind of deals on the side. Because they can't do that, they stop all these contracts. Just like the airport. Just like the airport. We had to get back to this airport tonight. We will have some time to deal with the airport. There was a Canadian firm, the Canadian firm, that wanted a government-to-government contract that you would have no debt to build the airport and to build the North-South Road. A Canadian firm that had Canadian government backing. The Canadian government would guarantee the loan so we could get the airport and the North-South Road. So if you did not want to do what we did when we dealt with our airport with a PPP, you could do that. Alan Shasley refused to even answer the people when they asked him to present, when they presented to him a MOU. He didn't even answer them. They gave him that document from September 2017. They told him, Prime Minister, here's the document. Consider it. Read it. Look at it. And see what we can do to save the country from debt. But Alan Shasley prefers to go and borrow $100 million that you will pay instead of getting the airport without any debt. You know why? Because it's not he paying it. It's you, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. So he doesn't care. So those of you now, tonight, those of you listening who don't care, those of you say, die my business. Those of you say, it's politics and politicians. Remember, it's not the same team of us who will have to pay the loans only. Not Ernest and Sean and Alva and Kenny and Claudius. Not us. You You are the ones who will have to pay these loans. You are the ones. You are the ones who will have to pay these loans. So you must remember that. You must remember that this government is not for us. And I want to read something for you before I leave. It's important that I read something for you before I leave. Because you hear about President Trump and all those who like President Trump. And you hear about how lies are dangerous. You hear how it is dangerous for a president to lie. I want to read something from you from James Comey, the man who wrote the book about President Trump. Listen carefully. It says, on liars and lying. I have seen many times over the years how liars get so good at lying that they lose the ability to distinguish between what is true and what's not. Does that sound a bell? They surround themselves with other liars. Does that sound the bell? The circle becomes closer and smaller, with those unwilling to surrender their moral compasses pushed out, and those willing to tolerate deceit brought closer to the center of power. Does that sound a bell? Perks, and access are given to those willing to lie and tolerate lies. This creates a culture which becomes an entire way of life. The easy, casual lives. Those are a very dangerous thing. They open up the path to the bigger lives in more important places where the consequences aren't so harmless. So my brothers and sisters, lying as a culture is a dangerous thing. And I want to tell you that this talk, travel, and take government and this incompetent prime minister is willing to lie to hide his failures. So we must not let that happen. This Labour Party must stand up for what is right. We must stand up for the people of St. Lucia. We cannot stay on the sidelines and say, that doesn't affect me. I have a little job, so I don't care. I pay my mortgage, so I don't care. The people at the tourist board, they didn't care either until they fired them. The nurses that lost their job because the end sessions didn't care until they fired them. So, comrades, brothers, sisters, stand up for what is right. This government is not for us. We have to send a message. We have to fight. We have to understand that in spite of the bluff and the fluff and the flashing mirrors, this government is not for us. This Labour Party, which I have the privilege to lead, will fight with you and for you so St. Lucia can get out of the hands of these liars. Good night, my brothers and sisters.